This is the October 17th, 2024 meeting of the Syracuse Regional Board of Review. This hearing is being held via video conference call over WebEx at the following locations: Hughes State Office Building, main hearing room, first floor, 333 East Washington Street, Syracuse, New York 13202. Time now is 9:32 a.m. and this hearing is officially open. The members of the board are Gail Swistic to my left, to my right, Andrew Garlock, and remotely we have Mr. Shaheen Badali. My name is C. Thomas Parsons. I'm the chairman. From the Department of State, we have Thomas DiTullio and Dan Farley. We will now hear scheduled petitions. When you speak, please address the board and give your name, title, and legal address so that a court reporter can have all the information requested. We may have to stop from time to time to consult with our technical staff. In making comments to the board, please provide a descriptive narrative on the matters referring to your exhibits to enable the court reporter to enter these into the record. We're now going to go to our hearing schedule, which has been revised. We're going to discuss petition number 2024-0279, the petition that is in the matter of 20 Fort Smith LLC. We heard this case in July of 2024. Decision was made and was rendered. The applicant has requested to reopen the case. And apparently there is some concerns or communication misunderstanding from the town inspector with the responses from the Department of State and this board. And they looks like there's some more information that needs to be presented and some clarification. So the question, and this comes from a communication from Chris Costanza, asking for this case to be revealed. So I'll poll the board and see if you agree. What we'll do is we'll have a hearing on this case. We'll reopen it in November. So I'll ask. There's no specifics in there related to the exact needs for this, but clearly there's some conflict. So we'll need both the town inspector and the applicant to be present at the meeting. Just let me double check. Do we have is Mr. Costanza here?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Hello. And do we have a representative of the town here?
I believe Chris Williams.
Maybe we're not going to deliberate this, but could you come forward and state your names, just kind of give us a brief overview of what the issues end up.
Hi, my name is Chris Costanza. I'm an architect.
My address is
314 Hollywood Avenue, Rochester, New York 14618.
Thank you.
Well, we were here in July for doing our use of a third-party review for our code compliance path. You rendered your decision. The town is not accepting that. Not want to give us the permit. So we're waiting for that for 3 months without success. The town is under the impression that when you say in your conclusion of law that the third-party LMC code review is acceptable evaluation for the purpose of compliance with the PCD, they think that acceptable means that they would accept it, but they wouldn't approve it. So we've been kind of arguing about things like, what is the meaning of accept, or what is the meaning of the word accept versus acceptable? we've been arguing about whether 60 square feet of the building should be called a corridor or a exit access or a hallway. So those are the things that we've been doing for the past 3 months. We're trying to get our permit. Our grants expire on the 30th. So we've been asking to get clarification from the board as what you meant by
I don't know that we might be able to answer that today, but this is Mr. Whipple. Is he here?
Yes, I am.
Help us out, Mr. Whipple, of what you don't understand about our findings of fact.
I was told via email from Hendrik Shank that your decision was that I was to accept LMC's report and not necessarily approve it, but to review it like I would any other report or plans. So during the review process, there were several things that didn't appear to meet code. So we've been trying to get all that stuff decided. I reached out to the Division of State Code Technical Services, and they confirmed my findings. And the Costanzas and LMC do not want to accept that those codes need to be met. And now we're here.
Okay. I don't think we're going to be able to deal with that, address that today, because I think we're going to have to get into civil code. Because there's conflict of opinion. I think we spent, just so you know, we'll get this taken care of. I think it's pretty clear to us when we look at LMC's code review that it was done correctly based on the plans that were submitted to the board. We didn't see any problem with that, but again, we need to know what sections of code you disagree with. So when we meet in November, hopefully you'll provide us with a written list of code sections that you have disagreement with relative to LMC's determination. Again, they chose to do a Chapter 13 approach to this building. So sections of Chapter 9, 8, 7 are relatively limited or excluded for any consideration. But as long as they do performance review and all the requirements of the performance review were completed, then it should be a code compliant situation. So with that said, if you could provide us with a list of what is disagreed with between the applicant of the petition and you, that would be very helpful to make a decision in November. Is that clear?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So I need to just make a motion second to reopen this case in November. So I'll make a motion that we reopened petition number 2024-0279. November. Motion for that. Garlic seconds. All board. Mr. Swistak. Mr. Badali.
Aye.
Mr. Garlic. Mr. Parsons, 12 ayes. 4 ayes, no nays. The petition will be reopened.
Hey, Tom.
Barbara?
Yes, before we, can we go off the record and check the audio? Audio's not good.
Okay. Is it just, anybody else having problems hearing us?
Yes, we're having difficulty hearing the boards speaking.
It is a little faint, yes.
I'm having difficulty as well, hearing the board.
We're off the record.
Hold on. Is that better now?
No.
I'm at 100%.
Hello?
All right, apologize, everybody. All right, let's go back to cases. So our next case is in the matter of petition number 2024-0402. The petitioner is Sabin Metal. And we bring up that. This application is for Sabin Metal Corporation, 1647 Wheatland Center Road, Scottsville, New York. And the applicant is James Barrett. The applicant is seeking a variance for 415.4/903.2.5.1 for automatic sprinkler system. And they're requesting an omission of the automatic sprinkler system in the building. Do we have the applicant here?
You can answer. Yes, we do. Actually,
When you speak, state your name and address before you begin.
yes, my name is Brent Visa, and we are at 1647 Wheatland Center Road in Scottsville, New York. And I am the technical director at Sabin Metal Corporation. Jim Barrett, the applicant, is the general manager, and he is not attending the meeting right now. I'm here in his stead.
Okay, go ahead and why don't you present your case?
Okay, so we've been in operation since the mid-70s, refining materials with precious metals in them, and we have a chemical refinery that uses hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, and sodium hydroxide or caustic, amongst other chemicals as well, but we use them in growing volumes through the years of production. And at this point now, we are proposing installing a chemical bulk storage system for those three chemicals. Though we were going to have tanks put outside of our production area to move the chemicals from being within the production area for storage. And we ended up working with Collier's Engineering and Design as consultants to help us construct this system. And we found that the best means of protecting the tanks and the transfer pumps required for this bulk storage system was to put them within a building. So we proposed constructing a building just for the purposes of holding these tanks. It's not really meant to be an occupied building. It's more of a storage building. And for that reason, with our experience, we've recognized that the true risk with these materials and this building is with the chemicals that are within, not so much with a fire hazard, because there's very little in this building that is of a flammable nature. So we have worked with Colliers to implement many portions to the design of this system to mitigate any risks against chemical exposure or leaks to the environment from these chemicals. And we feel that the addition of a sprinkler system would be a minimal amount of additional mitigation to the actual risks here.
Okay. So why don't you explain what the risks of fire are in this building?
Okay, well, the building construction is primarily non-flammable. The tanks that we'll be using for the chemicals are of FRP construction. They are fiberglass, so they are flammable. But that, and we'll be utilizing PVC piping, which can also be a flammable nature. But the only possible ignition source from this will be from the unit heaters that are going to be within this building, just to maintain the temperatures necessary so that the sodium hydroxide does not crystallize. One of the handling issues with 50% sodium hydroxide is that it begins to crystallize at around 60 Fahrenheit. So we need to keep anywhere that the chemical is being stored or transferred above that temperature of 60 degrees. Upon initial design, we were going to try to insulate the tank, wire heat it. It turns out to be a very complex method to keep the temperatures up. So we opted for actually putting a structure around there and heating the structure. But the only flammable sources would be the unit heaters and possibly from the electric pumps that are used to transfer the liquids. However, they are going to be totally enclosed, explosion-proof motor drives. So there's a minimal amount of risk of fire due to that area. We will be meeting all the other terms of the code for compliance for this building, being that it is an H occupancy due to the quantities of chemicals that we'll be storing in there. So we will have active fire alarm system to monitor for fire. And our facility is also covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with security personnel. So there is always someone on site in the event that something was to occur, we can quickly respond to it. With these matters in place, we feel that a request for a relief from the requirement for sprinklers is justified.
One more question for me. Do you have mechanisms to determine if there's a spill in the building or a leak in the building?
Absolutely. We have the tanks will utilize their own leak detection systems. In addition, we're going to have leak detection monitors in the sumps of the spill containment for the building as well as there will be visual tests every time that that we are transferring chemical into the tanks. It will be a manned operation, and somebody will go inside and make sure that the correct valves are operated for the correct transfer as required by our procedure for filling, and they will be visually checking as well. So I think there will be many different methods to make sure that if there is a leak occurs, that it's going to be quickly identified.
Okay. I have some additional, but let me go to my fellow board members. Mr. Badali, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you. No, I do not have any questions at this time.
Mr. Carla, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I have a question as it relates to the sprinkler system that would be required and all of the costs associated with that. Can you speak to those costs as well as the entire project budget for this project?
Yes. So we have had some budgetary estimates for a sprinkler system to be installed. And at first, we also had to determine whether we have an on-site water supply system for 3 fire hydrants that serve our facility. And we had a pressure test, flow test conducted on that water system, and we found that the residual pressure was insufficient to support the water requirements for the sprinkler system for this building. So that means it would require a booster pump system to support the sprinklers for the building, which was a significant increase of cost. Our outside vendor, what's her name? ABJ Fire Protection provided us with a cost estimate of approximately $600,000 to cover the costs, and that's a budgetary estimate, to cover the costs of the sprinklers, the sprinkler installation, the pressure pump system, and would also require backup power so that the pump system would always be operable even in the event that we had a power outage to the plant, and all that supporting equipment, which made it at a very high cost for the implementation of these sprinklers. The overall project, we do not have a complete number on it because we haven't put it out to bid to our subcontractors yet, but we are predicting that it's going to be in the $3 to $3.5 million range. So this is going to would add nearly 25% to the cost of this project.
Okay, thank you.
So Stack, do you have any questions? No. Okay. You brought up emergency power. I'm kind of curious, in the event of a power outage, how do you intend to monitor the pumps or any automated leak detection? How is that going to be handled?
Well, we already have 4 generators on our site supporting our other pollution control equipment and other vital pieces of equipment, emergency lighting so we can evacuate the buildings and that other support equipment. So we have enough capacity on our existing generator circuits to provide continuous support for the monitoring of the building for the fire alarms, but we do not have sufficient capacity for a pump system.
You mentioned that there was inadequate water when you did flow testing. I guess I'm kind of wondering if you do have a fire, this goes beyond this building. If you do have a fire on the premises, what's the fire department going to do for a water supply if you don't have enough there?
Well, to that point, I'm not on the fire department, but we actually do have people. We have employees at our facility that work for the local department, which is the Mumford Fire Department. And we have been told by the local fire department that they will, in the event there is any fire, they will hook up to the municipal fire hydrants to the front of our facility. But that's what they say their policy is. It's just that when we installed this facility, or we're setting up at this facility years ago, they put those fire hydrant systems in, and we test them and make sure they're in operation and working all the time, but we've been told that they won't be used, but they're there if necessary.
Okay, well, you didn't give me any, didn't make me feel any better about the water supply situation. The municipal water it's just a different source. Is there adequate water on that system to protect your facility?
Well, for that,
your insurance company should, I'm sure they have required testing.
well, right, but then we're kind of relying on the Monroe County Water Department to maintain the main line that passes by our facility that the fire hydrant systems go off of. Maybe Terry Reck, the building code official for the town of Wheatland, may have more to speak on.
Yes, Terry
State
Reck.
your name and your address, please.
Yes, Terry Reck, 22 Main Street, Scottsville, New York. This is primarily a rural area, and typically with a call, there's mutual aid. Both Scottsville, Wheatland Scottsville Fire Department, as well as Mumford Fire Department would come. Both have tanker capabilities, as well as other mutual aid companies in the area. So generally on larger fires, that is the tankers are relied upon, and a pool and transfer situation, etc.
Okay. It's a little bit outside the scope of this variance request. I'll just say my professional experience and knowledge, if you have a fire at your facility and you don't have adequate water supply to control it, we're talking a fairly significant industrial fire that's going to affect not just the facility, but the local area. So I'm while I'm not worried so much about this building, I'm looking at the overall operation. So I'll state that for the record. So All right, I don't think I have any more questions. And Mr. Garlock's got one more question.
Can you just talk about the deficiency in the flow test? What would be required for flow for the sprinkler system, and what did you test for flows? It's how deficient the flows are, the existing flows at the hydrant.
I believe can revert to Jeremy. Is that something that you may be able to speak on? Do you have the information on the tests? I'm sorry, you're muted. No, we still don't hear you.
We don't hear Jeremy, and before you start, make sure you state your name and address, but we haven't.
Is that working now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm
Nope, we can't hear you. We heard 2 words and then it quit. No.
still nothing from me.
Oh, that was clear.
You're back. Nope, you disconnected again.
Oh.
Got about 3 words.
Jeremy, you could call in if you need to.
I'm gonna try that.
We can hear you now.
Yeah, we hear 3 words.
Yeah, but you're in and out. Yeah.
Thank you. So while he's trying to call in, this is Brent Visa again. I have the reports from our fire hydrant testing, and I think at the point what the question in fact was upon the testing of the fire hydrants, what the residual PSI was, and we got a measurement of our 3 on-site fire hydrants, all on the same single line of piping. We had a residual PSI of 24 PSI, 17 PSI, and 16 PSI. And I think the minimum allowable for this system would have been 20 PSI.
What was the flow rate at those residual pressures?
670 gallons per minute, 690 gallons per minute, and 750.
Yeah. Not enough. Not enough water. Yeah, sprinkler system's probably, it's a hazardous.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking that.
Yeah. Okay. I dare say that you don't have enough water for your facility. Okay.
Okay.
I really would encourage you to work with the municipality, invest in probably bolstering that. It would certainly help contain any problem you might have, not just in this building, but the other buildings. So,
well, I'm sorry, excuse me, to the point that Terry Reck was speaking about the tanker trucks for the fire departments. Literally within about 2/10 of a mile, we have the Gravel Ponds Reservoir, isn't that where they are? And they draw water from that reservoir right there. We're also, the north side of our facility is literally Oatka Creek. And it can be used as a water source for tanker filling upon the right conditions, I would expect. But I believe that our local fire departments practice and exercise obtaining water from the gravel ponds, which is right down the street. And that's how they accommodate the water required for combating a fire on our facility, I believe.
okay. Mr. Garlock's got an additional question.
Have you looked into the cost and feasibility of extending a new water service from the municipal line into the facility to provide enough water for a sprinkler system here? Was that part of the cost analysis?
It was not.
Okay. How far is the municipal water from this building, roughly speaking?
It's, the location of it is roughly 2/3 of the way from our facility from the adjoining Wheatland Center road frontage, which is where our water is. And that would probably be about 1,000 to 1,200 feet, I believe.
Okay.
Estimating right now. I'm looking at our satellite image, and I know the size of our buildings. And so the property is a wedge.
Yes, I've looked at the site plan. That's a close enough approximation for my question. Thank you.
How far away did you say that pond was from your facility?
It is north of our facility on Wheatland Center Road, and I believe it's, well, half a mile, I guess, maybe would be more accurate. It is north of Scottsville Road. Oh, we have an app here. We can get a better estimate where that gravel ponds is. It should be.
Yeah, it's about
Half a mile.
Yeah.
Half a mile.
This is an issue for me relative to, I probably can get by without the sprinkler system, but I'm really concerned about the lack of water for fire protection. I understand you have tankers, but you'd have to be a very well organized tanker shuttle to get 1,000 gallons a minute out of tanker shuttle, and that's just in best conditions. In the wintertime, it may be even far less than that. Your facility is not a residential fire, which is what's typically, or even a fire that you might find on a farm, but those are typically total losses. But tanker shuttles are barely to keep up with large house fires. I can't imagine an industrial fire, a tanker shuttle being a feasible solution. Again, my knowledge and experience on this. I look at this facility relative to a variance is, okay, you don't want a sprinkler system, I get that, but the alternative is relying on the local fire department and providing them with adequate water supply to be able to handle this and the other buildings on the facility. So I'm not 100% sold. I think we'll probably have to discuss this during our deliberations. How often do your security people walk through the building?
Is it on?
Yes.
Our security people do the routine plant walks hourly.
So they would go into this building every hour?
They would go around the they would go around the building every hour. We don't have the new procedure set up for this building as it doesn't exist yet, but they go through the whole facility hourly.
Okay, so they wouldn't necessarily walk in the building to see if there's any smoke condition in the building?
We could certainly implement that into the policy. We have not formed that policy because the building doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
But they walk through the other production buildings. They walk through hourly,
Right.
even when we're not an operation.
How much? One other question: how much storage inside your existing facility and plant is going to be reduced or removed because of this new facility?
Well, right now we're using chemical totes. So the chemical totes are being replaced. They're being delivered full totes and they're removing empty totes on almost a daily basis. Since a truckload can only hold 12 to 14 totes, which is about 3,000 gallons, depending on which chemicals we're talking about, they're delivering almost daily. So these totes are going in and out of our production area on a daily basis. And then anytime on hand, there is a significant quantity of them sitting there. So as we, the sizes of our storage tanks were meant to hold a couple weeks worth of quantity wise of chemicals for each of the 3 chemicals. And so for example, for the hydrochloric acid, we use about 8,300 gallons a week. And so that will now be coming, would be stored outside instead of within the production area.
How much are you storing inside now with the new building?
With the new building, well, we'll have capabilities of, the tanks will be 16, the 2 tanks of hydrochloric are 16,000 gallons combined. So we'd be able to hold the basically almost 2 weeks worth.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's actually 19,000 gallons would be the capacity.
Okay. And what do you do with the space that since you've moved this totes out, what are you doing with the space? Are you increasing production?
We're hoping to, yes. We're actively in a process of improving our operations and expanding our capacity, our production capacity. But since we're on an existing facility and we have the building space is pretty much consumed with everything it's being used for, we are making best with the floor space that we have and getting all the storage totes out of the production area will accommodate for just also better operation of our processes as they are, and give us the ability to be able to install new equipment to replace the old equipment, so we can do it while we're operating.
Okay. When you have a spill, I know when I was going through your plans, you don't have a designated contractor for when you have a spill or a leak. Is that?
No, we do. Well, we do have a contracted spill clean facility for any spill that we cannot handle ourselves. And I believe that we keep it to what a manageable spill would be, something that's de minimis. For something like hydrochloric acid, it would be less than 30 or 40 gallons, which would be a part of a reactor. If there was an accident, if a pump broke or something, we can handle a small spill. But when you get larger than that, we will have to contact our outside facility to do spill cleanup.
Okay. And are they relatively close? Are they on call to be able to respond within a reasonable amount of time?
They are on call. I believe they are regional. I think it's the Buffalo region is where they're from.
Okay.
So they could be here within an hour or 2.
Okay. Yeah, it seemed like your plan relied on the local volunteer fire department and the county's hazmat team to do a response. You know, while they're probably like your staff, they can manage 30, 40, 50 gallons, but you know, hundreds of gallons of a chemical spilled is, you know, really needs to have systems to control that leak, as well as outside contractors to come in and clean things up. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I think let me just, you have any questions? Was that Scarlett? Mr. Badali, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Speaking for myself, I think my only hesitation is the lack of, I mean, you're actually going to have more chemicals on site than once you build this building. Granted, a better situation, but I am concerned that since you're not putting a sprinkler system in, that the alternative, which is the local fire department, may not have enough water on site to really manage this. So that's kind of my concern with this at this moment. So I think we're going to go ahead and take a short recess to deliberate, and then we'll be back in about 15 minutes or so. Okay?
If I might, before you break, this is Terry Reck again, the building official.
Yep, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Two points, and I will rely on Brent to tell me if I'm wrong. The fire load in the entire facility, I don't believe is very large. It's an H occupancy, but primarily for corrosives, what have you. So I don't believe the fire load is that large. By removing the totes in and out, the combustibility of the tote material itself, you're removing that from the plant area. As far as this particular application, it hasn't come out. The plans would certainly indicate this particular building is a very small, non-combustible construction and unoccupied. And it has been expressed the benefit of the 24/7 monitoring and various plans, as well as fire personnel employees, which is something to note but not pertinent.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go off the record and take a short recess. We'll be back in about 15 minutes or so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We are back on the record. We are going back looking into petition number 2024-0402, Sabin Metal Corporation. Before we move forward, I just want to touch base with the applicant, a couple things that I think we're looking at. The water system that you have hydrants that extend down to the site, that comes off the municipal water supply, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's all I need to know. All right, I think we have a decision here. So let me go ahead and make a motion. The chair would like to make the following motion in regard to petition number 2024-042. This petition pertains to the construction of a new building with an H4 high hazard occupancy, construction type 2B non-combustible unprotected construction, 1 story in height, containing 1,750 square feet in total gross area, located at 1647 Wheatland Center Road, Town of Wheatland, County of Monroe, State of New York. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 414.4, automatic sprinkler systems, which states that Group H occupancies shall be equipped throughout with an automatic sprinkler system in accordance with Section 903.2.5. Petitioner also seeks relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the 2020 Fire Code of New York State, Section 903.2.5.1, General, which states that an automatic sprinkler system shall be installed in Group H occupancies. Petitioner requests from relief from the requirement to install a sprinkler system in this new building. The petitioner proposes the following alternatives in lieu of compliance with 414.4 of the Building Code of New York State and Section 903.2.5.1 of the Fire Code of New York State. The building will be constructed of non-combustible materials with a 3-hour fire-rated structural frame. Table 601 of the Building Code of New York State permits a Type 2 building to be constructed with a 0 hour fire resistance rating of the primary structural frame. 2, all walls that run parallel to the existing structure shall have a 3-hour fire rating. 3, a self-supporting 3-hour rated CMU firewall will be constructed immediately adjacent to the existing structure to reduce the spread of fire from the production building to the bulk storage building and to prevent a catastrophic collapse. 4, the design occupant load of this building is 6 persons. However, the petitioner indicates the building will be primarily unoccupied. Access to this building will be reserved for personnel performing routine maintenance and transferring corrosive materials to and from this building on an as-needed basis only. 5, the building is designed to have a total of 5 code-compliant exits. If this building were sprinklered, it would be permitted to contain a single exit. 6, the petitioner will provide a full-time security team on site 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. The presence of security staff will be to monitor the bulk storage system continuously day and night and will provide additional protection to quickly identify safety concerns and provide early notification in the event of emergency. In the findings of facts, the subject of this petition pertains to the construction of a single-story, 1,750 square foot building to be used for the storage of bulk corrosive chemicals. 2, the new building will be constructed of non-combustible materials such as concrete and steel. 3, the petitioner states that the chemicals to be stored in this building meet the definition of those under 2020 Building Code of New York State for an H4 occupancy high hazard group. 4, Section 415.4 of the 2020 Building Code of New York State and Section 903.2.5.1 of the 2020 Fire Code of New York State require that any new H occupancy be provided with an automatic sprinkler system throughout that occupancy. 5, the petitioner argues that strict compliance with 415.4 and 903.2.5.1 would cause unnecessary hardship and would be unnecessary in light of proposed alternatives. 6, the petitioner has provided a cost estimate that the newest sprinkler system in Exhibit B and indicates it would add 25% to the protection costs of the building. 7, petitioner proposes the following alternatives in lieu of compliance with the Building Code of New York State, Section 415.4 and Fire Code of New York State, Section 903.2.5.1. A, utilization of non-combustible materials for construction of the 3-hour rated steel frame. B, installation of a 3-hour rated walls for any wall that runs parallel to the existing structures. C, a self-supporting 3-hour rated concrete masonry unit firewall will be constructed immediately adjacent to the existing structure to reduce the spread of fire from the production building to bulk storage building. D, the minimum of 5 exits will be provided within this building, including 2 doors leading directly to the exterior from the equipment platform located above the ground floor. E, the petitioner will have full-time security staff on site 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. The presence of security staff provides continuous monitoring of the property, including the new H4 occupancy containing the dry chemical storage, the chemical bulk storage. The on-site security staff is trained to quickly identify safety concerns as well as provide early notification in the event of an emergency. 8, petitioner's application states the proposed building will be of type 2B non-combustible unprotected construction with a height of 24 feet. Table 504.3 of the 2020 Building Code of New York State permits a type 2B building containing an H4 occupancy to have a height of 55 feet above grade plane. However, it should be noted that footnote C attached to this table states that all new H4 occupancies are to be protected with an automatic sprinkler system that complies with Section 903.2.5 of the Building Code of New York State. 9, petitioner's application states that the proposed building will contain a single story. Table 504.4 of the 2020 Building Code of New York State permits a type 2 building containing an H4 occupancy to be 3 stories in height. However, it should be noted that footnote C attached to this table states that all new H4 occupancies are to be protected with an automatic sprinkler system that complies with Section 903.2.5 of the Building Code of New York State. 10, petitioner's application states the proposed building will contain a gross floor area of 1,770 square feet. Table 506.6 of the 2020 Building Code of New York State permits a type 2 building containing H and H4 occupancy to have an allowable area of 17,500 square feet. However, it should be noted that footnote C attached to this table states that all new H4 occupancies are to be protected with an automatic sprinkler system that complies with section 903.2.5 of the Building Code in New York State. 11, petitioner indicates the building will be primarily unoccupied and will function more like a moderate hazard storage building. Personnel will only enter the building for routine inspections, maintenance, and tasks, and to set up transfers of materials when delivery is being made. 12, the local code enforcement official has been consulted in this matter and has no objection to granting of a routine variance under 19 NYCR Part 1205.5. In the conclusion of law, strict compliance with the code would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or may otherwise be unwarranted because would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden. And 2, would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without loss of level of safety, achieve the intended objectives of the code. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for a variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Section 415.4 and 19 NYCRR Part 1225, Section 903.2.5.1 here and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. 1, all conditions, enhancements, equipment offered by petition be installed as described in accordance with the applicable generally accepted reference standards. 2, a fire hydrant connected to the municipal water supply be installed within 100 feet of the building. 3, the building is limited to non-combustible storage. 4, signage will be posted within the building indicating that combustible materials are not permitted to be stored in the building. 5, the building, while occupied or used for storage, will be under fire watch 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. 6, that all other aspects of this building construction will be in compliance with applicable codes, rules, and regulations. Therefore, this decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plan specifications presented in support of this application. And I so move. Do I have a second?
I second.
Ms. Swistek seconds. Pull the board. Mr. Bradali?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock?
Aye.
Ms. Swistek?
Aye.
Chair votes ayes. 4 ayes, no nays. Variance is granted with conditions. Any questions to the applicants?
This is Brent Visa. At this time, we have no additional questions. We appreciate the board's time in this matter.
Actually,
Go ahead.
Will Falchek, Sabin Metal. I do have a question regarding the all of the granting specifics. Are those notes going to be forwarded off to us?
Yeah, what I just read will be written in a decision and will be sent from the Department of State.
All right, wonderful. I have no further questions.
Okay. Excellent.
Grant, could you give your name and address, please, the board, court reporter?
Yes, Will Falchek, 1647 Wheatland Center Road, Scottsville, New York. Oh, project manager of Sabin Metal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to our next case. This is in petition number hang on a second. Petition number
202404117.
417, yes. And we're now into petition 2024-0417.
Yep.
The applicant is WIS DNL Enterprises LLC, 4063 State Highway 23, West Oneonta, County of Otsego. And the applicant is, let's see, where's the applicant?
Denise Wiss.
Denise Wist, yes. Do we have the applicants here?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and your address, and if there's anybody else speaking on behalf, your architect, they also need to state their name and their address. And go ahead with your presentation.
My name is Denise Wist. My address is 3182 State Highway 51, Morris, New York. And I am presenting today relatively informally. I did not invite the engineers. My apologies. I will try to walk through and provide you with everything, that I am able, and we can go from there. I own a 52 plus acre piece of property on the outskirts of Oneonta. It's located actually in West Oneonta. My husband and I are looking to develop the land, and we are working on, I have spent the past year working with the town on rezoning. It has been rezoned to a PDDRC. And I have gone through the process of a site plan review and that approval process. And we are now at the process of coming to you folks, requesting a variance for sprinkler systems for small single occupancy luxury cottages that we would like to put on the property. The cottages are going to be 16 by 30, so 480 square feet. They are 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and an open kitchen living room space. They will contain 2 exit doors, one in the front and one in the back of the building. The site does not have municipal water available, and I'm applying just based on the economic, cost burden that putting in a sprinkler system in each unit would pose.
Okay. Have you talked with a contractor about what it would cost to put a small residential sprinkler system in each cabin?
Yes, I actually received pricing from Delta Engineering, so they ran some different pricing for me. The pricing ranges from on no engineering time required, so buying a whole kit, $4,500 total installed. But then we would also have to go back and have the plans modified for the building plans, just for the space alone of, the holding tank for the water and such. It is doable. It's just, these are added costs that we did not anticipate. But the most affordable one that Delta came up with for me was about $4,500 total installed, and no engineering time per unit.
And what's the cost of building each one of these cabins?
I have gotten an estimate. It is about $97,000 finished for each cottage.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Mr. Garland?
Is there any technical, does the applicant have, so there's nobody on for the engineer or the architect for the project? Is the local code official on the call?
I am. Paul Neske, Town of Oneonta.
Okay. I just had a question as it relates to the section 903.2.8 Group R requirement for automatic sprinkler system throughout Group R fire areas. There is an exception to this requirement for detached 1 and 2 family dwellings, so long as they're not more than 3 stories above grade plane in height and have separate means of egress. I just want to understand your thoughts as it relates to this exception and whether or not these cabins would fall beneath that exception.
It's my opinion that it does not fall under that exception. The intention as described by the applicant through planning process and to my office was that these would be rented out on an as-needed basis during the operation of their larger scale development for this location. My position was it was not a single family residence. It was similar to an R1, it was an R1 occupancy. And as such, we needed to come down this path to decide whether that was going to apply R1 or not.
Okay.
I'm not sure as if this will make any difference whatsoever, but the site plan, the long-term plan of the property is to continue to add cottages in phased, it's a phased plan. And ultimately, we plan to put up an event venue. And it was our plan to have the cottages complement the venue. We are located right next to the Oneonta baseball camp. And occupancy in the hotels and things of that nature during the summers is relatively non-existent. So, you know, our idea was to put up these small luxury cottages to complement the venue so that wedding parties and such would have a place to stay right there on the property. The event venue will be down the road. And we really just wanted to get started with the luxury cottages. And I was very upfront with the board and said the baseball camp is not my focus. It is the young professionals in our area, the educators. We have 2 hospitals in the area. And you know, make it like a short-term rental for those folks. So this is not, you know, building these cottages was not an intent of, you know, an Airbnb or anything of that nature. It's more about the young professionals. So it's a little longer term renting and leasing. It's not the Airbnb rent by day. That's not the intention of these rentals.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Swistek, do you have questions?
Will the smoke excuse me, will the smoke detectors and carbon monoxide be hardwired?
Yes.
Mr. Badali, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. If I could just clarify just the quote that was provided, it was stated that the construction of the barn is about $97,000. Just to clarify, it says on the quote that does not include foundation, septic, and electrical hookup. Have you obtained quotes for the total work that's required for the building?
Well, the foundation, actually, my husband and his family own a concrete company, so that will, I did not get a quote from them. The electrical hookup, we have talked to Smith Electrical on that, and he was quoting us that it was 6 or 7 months ago at this point, but it was about $5,400 a cottage. The water, so we're going to have to put a well, we're going to have actually a well drilled, so I did get pricing on that. And that was $10,000 to $14,000 for the well. So, and Barney and Sons, they're local, and I got quotes from them actually last summer.
And do you know approximately a very rough number how much you intend to spend on the development of the roadway and the site, et cetera, like the total development of this project?
We've actually already done a lot of the dirt work, and we've actually put a driveway in already. So we did that, Paul, 4 or 5 months ago, Paul. Yes.
Yes.
So that's already in place. You know, we have just been trying to do this in phases and small pieces. The actual building itself, I'm having built off-site. So that's why I had a flat cost estimate for the building. So they will deliver it, set it. I just have to have the electrical hookup completed and the plumbing hookup completed.
Got it. And out of curiosity, so the quote provided seems to be from like a shed modular company. They don't install sprinklers themselves, is that correct?
They do not.
Sure. And I will mention you know, it would definitely be beneficial to receive the sprinkler pricing, you know, from a quote. I thought personally it might be a little low. So, but you know, I appreciate the numbers you provided. If you know, it doesn't hurt you if the number was higher, of course, you know, so that's all I'll
Right.
mention. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually reached out to Delta Engineering, who I've worked with a lot on the project. So they actually handled my site plan and everything. So I worked with them from the beginning. So I actually ended up reaching out to them because they had some background in this. I also reached out to the local plumber here who has done a lot of work on one of our other projects. And he is, you know, this is relatively unfamiliar territory to him for a residential sprinkler system. So he actually has been working on a lot of this for me as well. But Delta provided me 4 different options of quotes that I thought were fair. And they, you know, one was basically a kit plus their engineering time. And then one was a kit, then I had to buy all the piping and things of that nature. So there were too many unknowns. So the price I actually gave you was, you know, the majority of it installed without engineering time. So I figured that would be the closest to what the actual cost would be.
Please, no, and that's fair. I think, you know, I would have estimated a little bit higher, which is, I believe, beneficial to your application, but I
Yeah.
appreciate it. The last point I was hoping to make was just on the application. I believe it was checked that it was would not be necessary in light of alternatives, but it really appears that the argument seems to be based on economic burden. So I don't know if that should be revised or not.
Okay,
Thank you. That's all I have.
thank you.
Is there fire hydrants in the area?
Speak up. Ms. Swisseka's question.
Is there fire hydrants in the area?
Hoping Paul can help me with that. I'm not sure where the closest fire hydrant would be, but we are building on the edge of a creek, actually, along a creek.
Yep, I can help you out. The parcel is located along the Otsego Creek on State Highway 23, and there is a dry hydrant available on the side of the creek towards the development within 500 feet.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I have some concerns myself relative to the sprinkler estimate. It sounds like Delta gave you an estimate for possibly a NFPA 13D system, but I'm not completely certain. Where if this is deemed as an R1 occupancy, See what your application says. We're in R1, Mr. DiTulio?
We're in R1.
Then
That'd be
13.
the 13I versus the 13D.
Yeah, yeah. A pump and tank system has to be listed for 13. Simple 13D system would work, although we could give a variance for a 13D system, that's the application.
If you saw the design from, this is Tom DiTulio, Department of State. The exhibit that had the design from Delta Engineer, some of it include pool pumps, so it was not a listed system. And I don't know what they used for calculation of water flow, water usage.
So did I get that document?
That was given to you.
What's that?
Yes, that was supplied. It'd be Exhibit B, Mr. Chairman.
There. I'm not seeing Exhibit B, Mr. DiTulio.
What was exhibit B called?
Which would have been Delta Engineers.
No, we didn't. I didn't receive it.
The estimate?
Yes.
Yeah,
No, that's the Catskill Shed Company.
okay,
Yeah, we did not receive that estimate. And our package was not included.
variance.
How many rooms are in the cabins?
One bedroom, one bathroom, and then an open concept of living room and kitchen in the front. And then off of the bedroom, we are planning a small utility space for a water heater and
There's a door out the bedroom.
yes.
We're just, Mr. Julia, did you find that Delta?
Yes, I'm submitting it to you right now.
Okay. Just bear with us a few minutes. We didn't get the Delta estimate.
No problem.
It's not.
So I didn't know that. Me, it's.
But this is cabin site.
I don't know.
This fall under residential code? Could it fall? Because
It's because they're rented.
R101.2.
Looking at the scope and administration of the IRC.
Well, the only issue is occupancy, how long we're in there. Definition.
This
R1
does
is
not say anything about permanent. It does say you can rent, a dwelling may be rented, leased, let out or hired out to be occupied for living purposes. So, and I misspoke, I'll correct the record earlier. I had the New York City code open on my computer earlier, and I was referencing an exception to the requirement for fire sprinklers for R, and that is not the case in New York State's code. So there is that discrepancy. But I'm just questioning if there's a code path through the IRC with these buildings. I understand R1, if we're in the building code, I agree, I can concur that it is an R1. But I don't think necessarily that means there isn't code path through the IRC for these structures. Because they're rented even on a short-term basis, does that necessarily put that into the IBC? I think that's the question, because there are single-family homes that are rented, and they do still fall under the IRC. It's the IBC which is requiring these systems. If this were under the IRC, they would not be required. Well, I know, I bring that up because when I first looked at this, I wasn't confident that this really felt that these buildings are best addressed or really fall under the IBC. But I think that's to discuss.
Anyone has code official, Paul, that's
Because the code doesn't really get into yet long-term, like the duration. The building code does with transient and permanent nature, but the IRC really doesn't. It doesn't, there's not a difference between short-term, long-term renting.
Well, it does say bed and breakfast dwellings. It's covered in the RRC, or.
Which are rented on a short-term basis. You know?
Yeah.
And these are even different than that.
Mr. Neske, question for you.
I am here, and I was just going to ask if I could add my interpretation of that to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I looked at that, and currently I agree. The the New York State Residential Code is silent on short-term rentals, with two exceptions currently in the 2020 version: bed and breakfasts and lodging homes. And prior to this, the residential code was silent on building single-family residences as short-term rentals. The discussion with the Department of State about that was they agreed with my interpretation. So we don't build those things new construction-wise to rent out short-term rental without owner occupying. There are 10 of them proposed, all basically the same. The intention, as I understood it, was never to be owner occupied and then have short-term rentals. So through that review of the code, my decision was that these buildings fell as an R1, not under the residential code.
Yeah, I think the definition of bed and breakfast dwelling in the New York State Code says an owner occupied residence resulting in a conversion of a one-family dwelling used for providing overnight accommodations and morning meal to not more than 10 transient lodgers containing not more than 5 bedrooms lodgers. Okay, I think we're, all right. I think that kind of covers that. I think what we're trying to do is yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may offer my
Yeah, go
own
ahead.
opinion as well, I'll just mention that in my own private dealings, I have experienced that this would be deemed a hotel as well. I mean, we've done like A-frame houses in the Catskills and similar things, and when the dwelling itself is not owner occupied, I mean, it is a transient use. So, and with 10 buildings, it is physically impossible for them to all be owner occupied. I don't see how this is not a transient use. That's my personal opinion, though.
I concur. I think what Mr. Garlock was doing is seeing if there was a path relative to doing a residential sprinkler under 13D or chapter 29 of the residential code versus a regular 13R.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if I wasn't elaborating, but that's essentially what I meant, is that I don't think that exists. I mean, in my personal experience, at least, I've never seen that be possible.
No, just, I think we're back. I think it's properly classified as an R1. I think we can agree on that. I think the question comes back to is sprinkler system. Couple questions on water supply. Are you dropping a well for each dwelling unit?
We're hoping to get 3 to 4 units per well. But again, we have not drilled the well yet. He did years ago drill a well on that same property. We have there's a house on the property that we're restoring and renovating. And actually this well driller drilled that well years ago. So he's very familiar with the property. And when we met with him last summer, that was his conversation was 3 to 4 units off of one well. If he could, I don't know much about that, so I can't elaborate, but depending on the pressure and all that good stuff, I guess maybe we could potentially get more units off of one well, but that is what he proposed to us in the beginning.
Okay, I just didn't know what it sounds like you may be doing a private water system.
Yes.
Which is a whole, yeah, Mr. Nesky shaking his head, so it means like a system has to be designed, engineered for sanitation, for sanitary and healthy.
Yeah, there currently is no municipal water system available to this parcel. The town is currently working with another entity to extend municipal water in the area, but it's still not going to get it to this site. So it would be well-fed storage for these systems, and we'd have to, evaluate all of that as it's made available in the design documents.
Okay. All right. Do we have any further questions? Heat. That was well, how are you heating these in the winter?
So they intend to put 2 mini splits, the wall electric unit mini splits in. That's what has been recommended and proposed.
Okay. Are you using any natural gas or propane at the facility, or is it all electric?
All electric.
Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions. Darla?
No, I'm good, thank you.
No, thank you.
Mr. Badali? All set? Okay, we're going to take a short recess and we'll be back with you in about 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Barb, could you hang here to see if you could walk me? You hear me? Yeah. Barb, could you see if we still have communications once I turn it off?
Yeah, let me know. You're good.
Okay, we're back on the record. We will now reopen the case of from our research. We'll now go back to our case 2024-0417. This is in WIS DNL Enterprises LLC, Morris, New York, seeking a variance for building code 903.2.8 fire sprinklers and the applicant's requesting relief from having to install a fire sprinkler system. Do I have an motion?
I make a motion.
Okay, Ms. Swistek's making a motion. Go ahead.
Petition number 20245-0417. The petition pertains to variance seeking relief for a sprinkler system in proposed luxury cabins, construction type 5B, 1-story in height, located at the proposed West Event Center, 4063 State Highway 23, Town of Oneonta, County of Atisco, New York State. The public notice was published in the New York State Registry August 28, 2024. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the Building Code of New York, Section 903.2.8, Group R, which states that an automatic sprinkler system installed in accordance with Section 903.3 shall be provided throughout all buildings with a Group R fire area. The petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to install the required sprinkler system in a one-bedroom cabins that are 16 feet by 30 feet or 480 square feet. The board makes the following findings and facts. Number one, subject petition pertains to proposed transient cabins at a proposed country event center located at 4063 State Highway 23, Town of Oneonta, County of Atisco, New York State. Number two, the building subject to the petition pertains to two 1-story, 480 square feet, 4-person cabins of type 5B construction of R1 occupancy, transient residential. Number three, the petitioner has requested relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Building Code of New York, Section 903.2.8, which states that an automatic sprinkler system be installed in accordance with Section 903.3 shall be provided throughout all buildings with a Group R fire area. The required system may be the installation of an NFPA 13D sprinkler system. Number four, the proposed system estimated by the petitioner's engineering firm notes that a private water supply system is to be used. The water requirements will include a pump, water storage tank, piping, and sprinkler heads. Number five, the petitioner provided estimates, Exhibit B, of the required sprinkler system from their engineer for each cabin. The cost ranges from $2,000 plus engineering fees to $5,000 designed and installed. The system presents issues with the location of the water storage tank and pumps, so to prevent damage from freezing during winter months. Number six, the petitioner provided construction costs for each cabin building plus foundation is approximately $96,000 without the sprinkler system. The domestic water supply well cost is estimated at $4,500. This is to be sized to supply the proposed cabins and proposed event center. Number seven, the petitioner's alternative is noted in Exhibit A, the architectural plans of the proposed cabins. The design offers X doors at both the main living area and also the single bedroom suite. Number 8, the local code official has been consulted in the matter and supports the granting of the variance under Part 1205. In conclusion, in view of the above findings, testimony and documentation presented before it, the board finds that strict compliance with the code would entail potential difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be unnecessary of the code. That the granting of the variance will not substantially adversely affect the Uniform Code's provisions for health, safety, and security. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for the variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Section 903.2.8 B, and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. 1, there shall be no fuel-fired equipment or appliances within the building. This shall include fireplaces, wood stoves, candles, etc. Number 2, that a second exit shall be provided from the bedroom as shown on the plans, provided as part of this application. I so move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Garlock seconds. Poll the board. Mr. Badali?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock?
Aye.
Ms. Swistick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, 4 ayes, no nays. The petition is granted. This decision is limited to specific building and application before it, as contained within the petition, and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. This hearing is now concluded. Any questions for the applicant or code enforcement official?
No, I just want to thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay,
No questions here from code enforcement. Thank you for your time.
thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. We're now on to our next case, which is petition number 2024-0490, Old Orchard Road. Petitioner is Scott, and you'll have to help me out. Kobilars. The location of the address is 0 Orchard Road, Town of Lansing, County of Tompkins. The applicant is seeking relief from code sections D103.4 dead end road with maintained 20-foot road width, including rolled shoulders versus 26 code requirement, 20-foot wide hammerhead turnaround where the driveway meets the road, and a 14-foot wide driveway after 20-foot hammerhead for more septic space. Okay. Why don't you go introduce yourself, your address, and
my name is Kobilars. I'm the owner of the property. It's Road, New York, 4882.
okay, go ahead with your.
Okay, so basically, I'm trying to build a home. I assume you have access to the PowerPoint that I provided. So
I have.
There's currently 4 homes down Old Orchard Road. It's a dead end compressed stone road. I highlighted the location of the 4 homes. They're much further down the road than where I plan to build. My proposed location is the blue for home 5, which will be the first home on the left of the road. The existing road coming down to Old Orchard Milliken is around 21 feet wide, so paved road. Old Orchard is currently about 20 feet wide. There's some pictures there, but it's the Mother Nature has sort of reclaimed the shoulders, called kind of greenscapes, the gravel base. And again, there's photos that'll explain that. But per code, I guess I'm required to have a 26-foot wide roadway from public access, which would be Milliken Station, to my home. apparently needs to go all the way to the home. The Old Orchard Road is more than 30 years old. Per my deed, the deed actually specifies the road had to be 15 feet wide. But then apparently in 2001, one of the parcels further down the road had a 20-foot wide requirement. So all 4 homes were built after the 2001 requirement. So obviously the permits, building permits and certificate of occupancies have been issued for the 20-foot wide road back at that time. So, and also earlier in 2024, there was a fire, 400 Old Orchard, which I highlighted there, the fire location. And then the fire truck came down the road, put out the fire and used the Y there that I circled in yellow as the turnaround to be able to pull back out. So the next slide that shows the site drawing, I applied or sent this to the local code enforcement officer. And it basically to my driveway is less than 500 feet. Per the code, 151 to 500 requires a 20-foot wide road, and then anything 501 to 750 is 26 feet wide. So what I was informed though was that because the road plus my driveway is in excess of the 501 feet, that it would require a 26-foot roadway from Milliken Station roadway all the way to my home. I also have to put the hammerhead for the turnaround, but I just, and as I'll explain later, I don't have the area or the ability to put a hammerhead any closer to my residence than what is currently shown in blue on where the current hammerhead location is located. And then, so moving on to sort of the images, I show two pickup trucks with the dimensions of each truck on the road at different intervals, 100, 200, 300, approximately 100, 200, 300, 400 feet. And you can see that the road is about, it's 15 to 16 feet of the, I'll call the kind of the stone-ish look. And then there's gravel that extends about 20 feet. But again, because there's no tire traffic on the shoulders of the road, Mother Nature has sort of reclaimed the shoulders. The shoulders are mowed to maintain drivable area. And you can see based on the photos of the trucks, two vehicles can easily pass along the road. The lower right-hand image at the 400-foot mark shows where the hammerhead would be located with a 20-foot proposal. And then going off kind of up to the right of that image is where the house would be up the driveway. So then moving on to the next slide, this is the septic system that I had initially designed up back in 2020 timeframe. And you can see that when I recently had the health department come out and take another look, and they were surprised at the 26-foot wide requirement. Then you also have to have a 10-foot wide buffer off of the driveway. So in effect, it's 36 feet of lost space going up my driveway. And based on the topography map, you can see that the lot, there's a sort of cliff that falls off the back, and then it gets very steep, sort of that little yellow highlighted area. And you can see that the original septic system plan had the leach field in in this 36-foot wide area now. So by having this 26-foot plus the 10-foot, it really reduces the allowable septic area that I have on the property. Then moving on to the next slide, just kind of details the 6 items from the variance. I won't read through those. And then I also had some estimated costs for putting in a 26-foot wide road. That's on the slide for the tree stump removal. There's approximately, there's 15 trees that would likely have to be removed, and I have the different sizes on there, an estimated cost of about $21,000 to be able to remove the trees and also remove the stumps to be able to put the 26 feet, and then also the grading for the ditches. Yeah. Okay.
Are you talking about the trees that be removed from Old Orchard Road or
Yes,
the driveway?
yes. So if you go back to the first slide there, Tom, you can see this. Yeah, this is the road going down, and you can see there's beautiful black walnut trees that line both sides of the road, and many of those would have to come down. Like I said, I went through, did a count, and in order to put the 26 feet with the appropriate ditching, it's about 15 trees that have to come out.
Okay. Question for you.
Yep.
Would you need to move the trees to maintain a 20-foot wide road?
No, because that's kind of where we're at right
No, you're not. You're about 13 feet. Code enforcement official has got that part right. Because when you go to 20 feet, you have, the shoulders are excluded. So if you have shoulders, they're outside the 26 feet. So you do. So based on the pictures here, my read of this code really comes down to, it's a 20-foot wide.
even though that there was a requirement and they issued the building permits and the certificate of occupancies for all 4 houses prior.
I don't know when those houses were built.
It's right in here. I have it listed.
So let me make this pretty clear. We're talking about your new home.
Yep.
That you want to build. We're talking strictly about the road, fire access road that goes to your home. This case does not involve the other properties.
Okay.
Code enforcement official, if they want to cite those properties for inadequate road width based on a code issue, that's the code enforcement official. We're talking about your property. Okay. So, as I see it, the 26 feet doesn't apply. And I'll tell you what, for a couple of reasons. One is in 503.1.1, which talks about the specifics of 503.1, while it does say maintain sections 503.11 through 503.13 and B, we're dealing with an exception of 1.4, which states that 1 in 2 family detached dwellings or not more than group 3 occupancies that meet the requirements of section 511. So you're really governed by 511 of the code, not 503, until you get to 511, which says if the access road serves 4 or more dwellings, then you have to meet the fire access road requirements of being the 20 foot wide. Aerial access doesn't apply because you're 1 and 2 family home, though I would say you should try to make sure that the aerial truck has access to the front of your building, because it would behoove you if you had a chimney fire or a fire in your roof. Fire department's a lot more efficient if they own a ladder truck and actually get it in there and fight the fire. But as far as the road to drive in and the fire access road, you're dealing, as my look at it, is the 20 feet wide applies down the road to your driveway, of which you need to provide them the ability to turn around, which you might have to have a little wider so the hammerhead goes beyond. But then you're dealing with 12 feet under 511. I think it's pretty clear. I've read the code. Is code enforcement official here?
No, he's not.
Okay. I read his letter. I think he's misreading the code, because once you get into the exceptions, you're down this path of 511. Honestly, I think the rest of the road should be 20 feet. And I'm not sure when those buildings built, but this case doesn't evolve around this. We're talking about your property. So that's where I'm at this. And I don't know that we need to go much farther in this conversation. I think I've read all your documents, but let me ask my counterparts. First of all, Mr. Badali, do you have any questions, or how do you see this?
I don't have any questions. I'll just mention personally, I don't personally have an issue with the application, being that the code official has provided their opinion.
I'm sorry, you kind of faded off there. What did you say?
I said I don't personally have an issue with the application based on the code official's letter. And the 20 feet seems adequate in my personal opinion. So yeah.
Okay. Mr. Garlock.
Yeah, I'll just add, I concur with your findings in following this through the code. So the 20 foot would apply. If what you're saying about the greenery coming in from 20 feet and taking over some of the roadway over time, that does happen. If that's the case, it should be, much more simple than obtaining 26 feet. Obtain a 20 foot clear roadway. If that road is there, there's the greenery.
The greenery, as I see it, is shoulder. You need to get reestablished look at it this way. Where's the snow going? Because if you bring it in this narrow, as the winter comes, that road gets narrower and narrower. When you have a fire access road, it needs to be maintained 20 feet wide. So when does town plow this or do you?
No, we do.
Okay. So when your plow truck comes down, this road needs to be 20 feet wide as the snow's plowed. So you want to make sure that the plow truck is only going to drive on what they think is road. So if you have a lawn, they don't drive on lawns. So it needs to be widened, whether you hire a contractor to gravel it or grade it or whatever, it needs to be widened and made it very clear that it's 20 feet wide. That's all I see in this case is what you're asking for. I think the driveway can be 12 foot wide. You don't get into aerial access because this points you into 511, which is very specific. So if you get into the nitpicky of 511, if the aerial access was an issue with the code enforcement official, and they say you got to have it, in Appendix D, it says in the vicinity of the buildings where this 26 feet applies, not all the way, not the entire path from the fire station to your house. That makes sense.
So you're saying 20 feet to the house, and then
20 feet on Old Orchard Road.
I don't know if the road yet.
Then 12 foot.
And then you can, I have to have the hammerhead though. 20
Yeah,
feet
you're gonna have
for
to do the hammer.
For the first portion of the driveway.
Yeah.
Then I can go,
Unless that road goes down and there's a hammerhead below there.
I mean, there's the turnaround that they use that I highlighted it.
Yeah, well, if it's approved by the fire department, but then that means your 20-foot road has to go down to that hammerhead. So do you want to put the hammerhead on your driveway, or do you want to take care of your neighbors? I'm trying to give you a pathway. I don't know, Mr. Russell's not here, so I can't.
No, I just got off the phone. He wrote what he wrote, and his comments were in his letter. We had discussed this already.
Okay.
He thought it actually applied. I read 511 to him. His answer was, well, the roofs might be 30 feet, greater than 30 feet.
Yeah.
And he's going back there. Originally, there was an easement as part of the original property.
Yeah.
That states that they shall maintain a 20-foot road. It's 1979 when it was first subdivided.
Yep.
No, 2001.
2001, yeah.
They first subdivided.
It's 15 feet, and then it became 20.
Then it became 20 feet, and they have a turnaround at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
At the very end of it. And it's up to all the owners that have land along the right of way to maintain. It's part of the codicil that's in with the development requirements.
Okay, well, you sort it out how you want to sort it out. You can put a turnaround, but if the turnaround's going to be used down below, as far as this board's concerned, I think it needs to comply to the turnaround. Okay, so you're asking to accept 13 feet. I don't see that happening. For me, I'm not supportive of it. My colleagues will do, but we're trying to.
Can I get a copy of the letter from Mr. Russell?
Yeah, we can get that to you.
I haven't seen that, so this is news to me saying the road is 13 feet.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, that's your driveway.
Well, no.
I think that
just said it's 13.
I think he said it was 13 feet.
He measured it in certain locations between the edges of the brushes.
That's not true. That's just not true. I mean, I show you the images of what.
I saw his images.
Yeah.
Things go in and out.
Yeah,
I don't, was 13, 16, it's gotta be 20, okay? Because you said 16 in some of your places. The other thing, everybody's like, why does it have to be that wide? Well, a fire truck is typically 96 inches wide. That's the box. And you got mirrors. Then you got compartment doors that have to open. There's people that have to walk around that fire truck. When you add all that extra, you're at 20 feet. So it's not even, it's not, so if a fire truck has to park in the road, you gotta be able to work around it.
So
And that's why.
They're stabilizers.
Yeah, and that's why the 26 feet is kind of a thing for the fire department. If they're gonna come in and bring a ladder truck in and around your driveway, you kind of want to help them out because you don't want them to be struggling to get onto your roof because you got a fire.
What the
So
chairman is saying is that if you have a 14-foot drive going up a 2-car garage, you're gonna naturally have a wider drive right there in front of the garage anyway.
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna have.
So that will give you your platform, 6-foot depth.
yeah, well, the cars stop.
Wait,
parked
Yeah,
there.
yeah, there's gonna be a big apron in front of.
Yeah, I mean, so if you want to go after Appendix D on the aerial access, it specifically says in the vicinity of the place, if you have a roof line, that's the lowest roof line is below, and that's the eve level. Right. is above 30 feet, which is a 30-foot firefighter, the ground ladder, which most fire departments get. Have you built this house yet?
No, I can't get the permit.
Well, you're looking at an average, even if you're doing 9-foot ceilings for each one of them, you're looking at no more than 23 or 24 foot.
Right.
Anyways.
I think we'll be real careful about how we do when we do this.
So, I mean, I understand the 20, and I'm just trying to understand who I work, because I don't want to tear up the existing road. I mean, the road's in great shape. And so if I have to put shoulders, do I work with the highway superintendent on that?
If it's a private road, you need to work with your neighbors and say, I've got to widen the road to get to my driveway, so here's what I'm gonna do.
Who owns the road?
So.
It's a joint easement.
Yeah, I own part of it. Everybody that has property along that road owns a piece of it. It's a private road. So.
I'll explain to them that, in order to build, they're required to have Old Orchard Road.
So
because you have 4 or more structures.
So who's the individual that has to approve it? Say yeah, I'm happy this is 20 now, because right now I would argue it's 20, but the code enforcement officer.
I would argue that's not 20 based on the pictures you presented.
Okay.
You can't count the shoulder.
But even though it was gravel and Mother Nature reclaimed it, because
if the code enforcement officer comes out on January 15th and you just had a snowstorm, the plow truck only plowed 15 feet wide or 16 feet wide, you're in violation. You have to maintain 20 feet wide. So if your plow truck says, I'm not driving over there because I'm going to fall off the edge, or it's soft or whatever because it's not maintained, you got a problem. So I'm just trying to help you out here, saying the only issue right now is this 20-foot road, and I'm not inclined to support a narrow road. So because as I look at those pictures, it doesn't seem you have to cut any trees down. It seems like you just have to.
No, we wouldn't have to cut any trees.
But get a contractor with a bulldozer that can spread out some gravel and clean up the edges and,
Well, I own a bulldozer, so that's why.
There you go. But you might need a few.
I need to understand what I have to do.
You might
to make.
Also, the shoulders have to be able to support the weight of a fire.
Pounds, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure it's compacted enough so
We
that
have a roller, we have a bulldozer, we have a roller. That's
There
why
you
I'm asking these
go.
questions, because we can do it all. I just need to understand exactly what I have to do to meet the.
Might want to get some geotech fabric.
I already have that too. Already have that.
Again, I think I'm sorry, we're talking over each other. So the point we're trying to get you at, you do have to get this 20 feet, not 26. So I think that Mr. Tertulliano had a conversation about this when I first read it. It looked way too complicated, but from my standpoint, I don't think there's a variance to be here. It's really you're appealing the code enforcement officials' determination.
Correct, it'd be a variance / appeal, so it'll be the appeal pain part of.
Yep.
Grant the appeal, but not a variance.
Well, we'll just state in the appeal that the road shall be, conditions of the appeal, the road shall be 20 feet wide with a hammerhead turn provided at the end of the 20-foot wide.
And that the access from the 20-foot road to this will be a minimum 12.
And if you want and work with your neighbors and you want to make that 20-foot wide down to that Y, and that's acceptable as a turnaround for fire department. Remember, you don't determine, the fire chief and the code enforcement official, they agree that's an okay place for us to turn around. Even your driveway, when they turn around your driveway, you want them to make sure that they can turn.
Yeah.
Typically, when you do turnarounds, you're going to have to do 20 wider than 20 feet. So the thing about it, if you got a concrete mixer coming down the road, they got to back in there, almost drive in, but they got to back out. They got to be able to make that turn on a road. A ladder truck or a big tanker or a big pumper, they're going to need as much space or more than a big concrete mixer. So you own construction equipment. You know what it takes to get around those corners.
I just need to know who has to approve this 20 feet.
Code enforcement official.
That's going to be.
Yeah.
Mr. Russell.
Again.
Mr. Russell can call me and he can call me for guidance.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at here. And I think the only thing,
So I mean,
we're trying to help you get where you want, but you're going to have to.
You know, we can bring in loads of pressure on, right? I can roll it and compact it, but after a year, it's going to be overgrown again because we're not going to have the tire traffic, which is, I mean, It is what it is.
It is what it is. The key to it is make sure the plow, again, the width of the road being maintained in the winter. That's, everybody talks about that. And talks about, width and everything else. You have to look at, snow storage, where you put the snow. A lot of people just plow it and dump it into the shoulders. That's where snow goes. Highway to put it in the shoulders when a big snowstorm. In your case, you want it to be the shoulders outside the 20 feet. That's kind of the where it goes. And again, remember, fire trucks and cars are not, they're similar, but they're different. But the weight load, and nobody wants to take that truck off the edge where it's gonna roll over, sink into the mud. So, okay. Let me put questions from Mrs. Swistak.
No, we answered my.
Okay. Mr. Garland.
No further.
Mr. Badali. Okay.
No, thank you.
All right. We're going to take a short recess and then we'll come back and read our determination.
You know the drill, right? You know the drill, right?
I know the drill. Get out.
And we're off the.
Thank you. We are concluded our recess and we are now back discussing case 2024-0490, Scott Koblox of Old Acres LLC regarding a variance to Part 1225 Fire Code of New York Appendix D, Table 103.4, which states road length 501 to 750, minimum width is 26 feet, turnaround is required. So what we're going to do is we're going to appeal the code enforcement official's determination, but we are not granting a variance on the road width for Old Orchard Road. And in the findings of facts, when the motion is read, we'll state that the Old Orchard Road needs to be 20 feet wide. In addition, in the vicinity of the house, when you construct it, if the lowest roof line, which is the eave, is above 30 feet, then you need to provide 26 feet in the vicinity of the building, which is you don't have to provide it in the whole driveway. You don't have to provide it on Old Orchard Road. Okay. You do have to provide it in the vicinity, as I explained to you during testimony and the discussion of the hearing. You want to provide an access to the fire department get to your roof if there's a problem. Okay. This house is not a small house, so it's, it's basically.
We have you come up to the microphone.
I'm sorry. Sorry, just state your name again.
Yeah, my name is Scott Koblox. The unit is going to be a garage with livable space above. So.
Okay. That's all right.
Footprint is.
Okay. All right. With that said, Mr. Garlick, do you have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. With respect to the petition of Scott Kobilars of Old Acres LLC requesting petition number 2024-0490, requesting a variance and appeal to the following sections of the Uniform Code. Petition pertains to a variance seeking relief for a proposed single-family residence, 5,400 square feet of construction type 5B, 2 stories in height, located at Old Orchard Road, tax parcel 12-1-15.32, Town of Lansing, County of Tompkins, New York State. The public notice was published in the New York State Register's October 10, 2024 issue. Petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NY CRR Part 1225, the Fire Code of New York, Appendix D, Table 103.4, which states, for a road length of 501 to 750 feet, a minimum required width is 26 feet. A turnaround is required as a 120-foot hammerhead, 60-foot wide, or 96-foot diameter cul-de-sac in accordance with Figure D 103.1. Petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to allow Old Orchard Road that is 30+ years old, Old Orchard Road to remain as a compressed stone driveway, approximately 16 feet wide. The board makes the following findings. Subject petition pertains to a private road that services the property of a proposed single-family residence at Town of Lansing, tax map 12-1-15.23, parcel located on Old Orchard Road, Town of Lansing, County of Tompkins, New York State. 2, the road that is the subject of the petition runs north to south from Milliken Road extension south towards end of the road residences address of 423 Old Orchard Road. Petitioner states in Exhibit 1, the PowerPoint presentation, that the existing road is 13 to 18 feet wide, and this width has allowed for emergency vehicles to respond to a fire this year without incident. 4, the Town of Lansing has provided New York Department of State Division of Building Standards and Codes a copy of the development agreement, and this agreement requires a well-maintained private road of a minimum width of 20 feet, and that all residents served by the road shall be responsible for maintenance. 5, the town code office requests that the road be maintained and that the minimum width be maintained at 20 feet wide for the 2001 development agreement. 6, the town has provided information that the actual road width is between 12'6" to 15 feet and presents evidence of lack of maintenance and repairs. 7, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and does not support the granting of the variance under Part 1205. 8, Fire Code of New York State, Section 503.1.1 states, approved fire apparatus access road shall be provided for every facility, building, or portion of a building hereafter constructed or moved into or within the jurisdiction. The fire apparatus access road shall comply with the requirements of this section and shall extend to within 150 feet of all portions of the facility and all portions of the exterior walls of the first story of the building as measured by an approved route around the exterior of the building and facility. Exception 1.4 states that one and two family detached dwellings of not more than 2 or not more than 2 group R3 occupancies that meet the requirements of Section 511. 9, Fire Code of New York State, Section 511.2.6, driveways serving more than 4 buildings, states that driveways and portions thereof that serve more than 4 buildings shall meet the design requirements for fire apparatus access roads as specified in Section 503. 10, per Section 511.2.6 and 503.2.1, Old Orchard Road shall have an unobstructed width of 20 feet, exclusive of shoulders, and an unobstructed vertical clearance of not less than 13 feet 6 inches. 11, Fire Code of New York State, Section 503.2.5, dead ends, states dead end fire apparatus access roads in excess of 150 feet in length shall be provided with an approved area for turning around fire apparatus. 12, Fire Code of New York State, Appendix D, Section 105.1 states, where required, where the vertical distance between the grade plane and the highest roof surface exceeds 30 feet, approved aerial fire apparatus access road shall be provided. For purposes of this section, the highest roof surface shall be determined by measurement to the eave of a pitched roof, the intersection of the roof to the exterior wall, or the top of the parapet walls, whichever is greater. 13, Fire Code of New York State, Appendix D, Section 105.2 width states aerial fire apparatus access road shall have a minimum unobstructed width of 26 feet exclusive of shoulders in the immediate vicinity of the building or portion thereof. This does not apply to Old Orchard Road or the driveway not in the vicinity of the building. In accordance, in view of the above findings, testimony, and documentation presented before it, the board finds that the burden of proof has not been met for the relief requested within the application for a variance submitted by the petitioner. The burden of proof is on the petitioner to show that they are entitled to any relief and to provide the board with the facts which demonstrate the burden imposed by strict compliance and with facts as to the safety and propriety of any alternative to strict compliance. Insufficient evidence has been provided to establish that granting such variance would not substantially adversely affect provisions for health, safety, and security, and that equally safe and proper alternatives have been prescribed. Therefore, I move that the above variance be denied. With respect to the appeal, requesting an appeal to the code enforcement officials' determination that the following violations exist in the uniform code. In view of the above findings, I move that the board sustain the appeal for the petitioner, and therefore reverses the determination of the code enforcement official. I so move.
Hold the board. Mr. Badali?
Need a second.
Oh, sorry.
I second.
Ms. Swistek, second. Mr. Badali?
Aye.
Ms. Swistek?
Aye.
Mr. Carlock?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. 4 ayes, no nays. The petition, appeal is granted. The variance is denied. It should be noted that this decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within that petition and should not be interpreted to give supplied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of the S application. This hearing is closed. Before we walk, do you have any questions?
I have a copy of the code enforcement officer letter and then this as well. So I'm going to need that letter and I'll put the residents to.
You'll get both. And I'll email Scott to let him know what the decision was ahead of time.
Okay.
Because the decision actually takes effect now.
Okay. We're going to go off the record just for a couple minutes. So. Okay, we have three more cases. They're all MRLs. First one we're going to hear is petition, is in matter of petition number 2024-0483. Petitioner is Union Wendell, New York LLC. Somebody like read that in? Well, first of all, let's have a discussion first. Is there an applicant here for Wendell?
Yes.
Union Wendell? What's that?
Yes, Dan Morelli.
Oh, hi, Dan.
Hello.
Thank you. Mr. Morelli, just state your name and address.
My name is Dan Morelli of Morelli Design and Construction with an office address located at 5159 Western Turnpike in Altamont, New York, 12009.
Okay. And this is this petition is in regard to 1084 Wendell Ave, City of Schenectady, Schenectady County. And you're seeking relief from MRL 30 ceiling cellars, relief from installing a fire retardant ceiling or sprinkler system in the basement. MRL 31 cellar stairs, relief from installing fire rated partition around the stairs to the basement.
Correct.
Okay. Why don't you just give us a quick
All right, just for the record, before we get started, I will be presenting all three of the next projects, this one and the following two. They're fairly similar, but we'll approach each one obviously individually. But as I stated, my name is Dan Morelli, Morelli Design and Construction, and I am representing Mr. Robert Boyda of Union Wendell, New York LLC, and his request for relief from MRL sections 30 and 31. Mr. Boyda owns a structure located at 1084 Wendell Avenue in the city and county of Schenectady, state of New York, which is classified as an R2 occupancy with type 5B construction and has a total gross floor area of 10,720 square feet. The pre-existing residence is multifamily and it's 3 stories with a full basement. It currently has 5 residential dwelling units, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second floor, and 1 on the third floor, and was constructed circa 1943. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster or drywall ceilings, and the structure currently has hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building, including common hallways, stairways, and 1 inside each dwelling unit. Each dwelling unit currently has 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors in each bedroom within proximity of the entry door, and self-closing doors from common areas leading into each dwelling unit, as well as code-compliant multiple means of egress as defined by the MRL. In addition, there are currently fully charged fire extinguishers mounted to the wall in the common areas, as well as hard-wired emergency lights and illuminated exit signs at designated locations throughout the building. The full basement is unfinished and has no sprinkler system, but currently has multiple hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors mounted to the ceiling framing. There's exterior-only access to the basement at 2 locations, which currently have non-fire rated self-closing doors, and the owner has agreed to swap those doors out with self-closing fire rated doors. The property owner also agrees to hire an independent inspection agency to inspect the detection system on an annual basis and file an on-site report prior to contacting city codes for their required inspections. So the applicant is seeking relief for New York State MRL sections 30 and 31 based on the following findings of fact. The structure has been inspected yearly in recent years for compliance with the 2020 New York State Building Code by City of Schenectady code enforcement officials for the issuance of rental certificates, and the property owner proposes to perform or maintain the above listed actions to meet the requirements of the MRL law. Installing a fire retardant ceiling in the unfinished common areas of the pre-existing basement or installing a sprinkler system would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden on the property owner and their tenants simply due to the high cost of performing these tasks, as well as the MEP obstructions currently present in the exposed basement ceiling, therefore making the installation physically impracticable. The alternate measure to achieve the intended objective is the presence of the hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at the designated locations, along with the 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom, the self-closing doors from the common areas into each individual dwelling unit, the fire-rated self-closing doors leading to the basement, and the multiple code-compliant means of egress that are currently present. Therefore, based on the information provided during today's testimony, the applicant respectfully requests relief from New York State MRL sections 30 and 31. I'll field any questions if you have any.
What's in the basement?
There's boilers in the basement.
Any storage?
No storage.
Okay. And no laundry facilities?
No laundry facilities.
Okay. If we put a condition that no storage will be permitted in the basement, have any concerns about that?
No concerns.
Okay. Mr. Garlock, questions?
Yes, how many exit stairs are in the building?
There's 2 means of egress from the building front and rear, and also 2 separate entrances into the basement from the exterior.
Okay.
Ms. Swestek, any questions? Mr. Badali, any questions?
Just one. So the interconnected detectors, do they notify all of the occupants at one time in the building?
They do. They do. If you press the button on one of them, they will interact and all will go off. Yes.
And that includes the ones in the basement, correct?
That's correct.
Cool. Oh, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay, we're going to take a brief recess and we'll be right back in about 5 minutes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. In the case of petition number 2024-0483, regarding multiple residents located at 1084 Wendell Ave, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York, seeking relief on sections 30 and 31 of the multiple residence law of New York State. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion
Ms. Swistek.
for petition number 2024-0483 upon the application of Robert Boyda of Union Window, New York LLC, 5-Page Farm Road, Sherborne, Massachusetts, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument thereon at the duly noted hearing before Syracuse Board.
Everything's black.
Okay. Also held via video conference call WebEx at the following location: Hughes State Office Building, 333 East Washington Street, first floor. Main hearing, Syracuse, New York, 13202 on October 17th, 2024. And upon all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. The grievance and relief sought, the petition pertains to an existing building containing a multiple residence apartment building, R2 occupancy, 3 stories in height, of type 5B wood frame unprotected construction, located at 1084 Wendell Avenue, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Resident Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling or cellar or of the lowest story, if there is no cellar, shall be fire retarded or be equipped with the sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Resident Law, Article 3, Section 31, inside cellar stairs. Every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above in all old multiple dwellings shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and shall be equipped with fire retardant self-closing doors located as the department may approve. The petitioner requests relief from the requirements that a fire retardant ceiling or sprinkler system be provided in the cellar of the dwelling and allow the 2 existing exit stairs from the basement to which are not enclosed in a rated assembly but have self-closing rated doors. The findings of facts: number 1, the building that is the subject of the petition is properly classified under Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Resident Law, Article 1, Section 433 as a multiple dwelling. Number 2, the subject building is approximately 10,720 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1943, and contains 5 dwelling units, 2 dwelling units on the first floor and second floor, and 1 in the occupied attic. Number 3, the subject building is required to conform with the provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Residence Law as provided in Section 25, in that it existed on July 1st, 1952, or was converted to a multiple dwelling after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. Number 4, Article 3, Section 30 of the Multiple Resident Law requires in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there is no cellar, shall be fire retarded or be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. Number 5, the lowest story, cellar, ceiling of the multiple family dwelling is not enclosed with fire retardant material and does not contain a sprinkler system. A fire in the cellar could easily spread throughout the building without it noticed. There is mechanical system piping and electrical wiring along the ceiling of the unoccupied cellar, which would make installing a fire retardant ceiling very difficult. Number 6, Article 3, Section 31 of the Multiple Residence Law requires that inside cellar stairs, every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above in all old multiple dwellings shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and shall be equipped with a fire retardant self-closing door located as the department may approve. Number 7, the petitioner has indicated the door into the basement is self-closing and fire rated, but the enclosure that led to the basement is not fire rated. Number 8, as an alternative to compliance with Article 3, Section 30 and 31 of the Multiple Residence Law, the applicant stated they have installed a hardwired interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide detection alarm system interconnected from the basement to each unit individually in all the common areas, hallways, stairwells, and they would provide early warning in the event of a fire-related emergency. Number 9, the petitioner states that the existing dwelling unit has 10-year warranty lithium battery operated smoke detectors in each bedroom. Number 10, the petitioner states that there is multiple egress exit pathways that exceed the New York State multiple residential law requirements. Number 11, the petitioner also stated that there are self-closing doors from common areas into each individual dwelling unit and self-closing fire-rated doors to the basement stair. Number 12, the subject building has been inspected yearly and in compliance certificates issued and registered with the city. 13, the code enforcement official for the city of Schenectady was not present during the hearing, but has indicated support for the variance. In conclusion, the proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the law provisions for health, safety, and security. Strict compliance would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be unnecessary in the light of alternatives, which without the loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the law. Wherefore, it is determined the application for the variance from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Resident Law, Article 3, Section 30 and 31, be and is hereby granted with the following conditions. Number 1, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady's Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. Number 2, tenant storage shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement area. Number 3, tenant laundry area shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement area. Motion for negative declaration for short EAF for Board of Review. Number 1, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition number 2024-0483 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resource of statewide significance, important agricultural land, or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program. And number 2, that the Department of the State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of the State. Section A, the State Environmental Quality Review Act Short Environmental Assessment Form, indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in Part 2 of the form, and determining in Part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. I so move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Scarlett, second. Hold the board. Mr. Badali?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock?
Aye.
Ms. Swistick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, 4 ayes, no nays. Petition is granted. This decision is limited to specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. All right, on to the next case.
Forty-five.
45?
485.
485, yeah, okay. 1226 Wendell Lab. Okay, we'll now on to our next case, which is petition number 2024-0485. This is pertaining to a building located at 1226 Wendell Lab, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, New York State. The applicant is seeking a variance for MRL 30 ceiling cellars and MRL 30 ceiling stairs. Okay, we have the applicant.
Yes, Dan Morelli.
Okay, Mr. Morelli. Keep it brief. You don't have to read your whole letter that we have. But...
Okay. I think we can get through the next two pretty quickly, actually.
Okay.
Dan Morelli, Morelli Design and Construction, representing Mr. Robert Boyda, sections 30 and 31 of the MRL law. Mr. Boyda owns a structure located at 1226 Wendell Avenue in the City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York, classified as an R2 occupancy with type 5B construction and a total gross floor area of 11,444 square feet. The pre-existing multifamily residence is a 3-story with a full basement, currently has 5 residential dwelling units, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second floor, and 1 on the third floor, and was constructed circa 1875. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster or drywall ceilings, and the structure currently has hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building, including common hallways, stairways, and 1 inside each dwelling unit. Each dwelling unit also has hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant smoke detectors inside each bedroom and self-closing doors at common areas. In addition, there are fully charged fire extinguishers mounted to the wall in the common areas, as well as hardwired emergency lights and illuminated exit signs throughout the building. The full basement is unfinished, has no sprinkler system, but currently has multiple hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon detectors mounted to the ceiling framing. Also currently present are fire-rated self-closing doors leading to the basement. The property owner agrees to hire independent inspection agencies to inspect the detection system on an annual basis and file an on-site report prior to contacting city codes for their required inspections. So the applicant is seeking relief from sections 30 and 31 based on the following finding of facts. The structure has been inspected yearly in recent years for compliance with the 2020 New York State Building Code by the city code enforcement official. For issuance of rental certificates, and the property owner proposes to perform or maintain the above listed actions to meet the required MRL law, installing a fire-rated ceiling in the unfinished common areas of the pre-existing basement or a sprinkler system would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden on the owner and the tenants. There's many MEP obstructions in the ceiling that would make the installation physically impracticable. And the alternate measure to achieve the intended objective is the presence of hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations, as well as hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant smoke detectors inside each bedroom. Self-closing doors from common areas into individual dwelling units, fire-rated self-closing doors leading to the basement, and multiple means of egress as defined. Therefore, based on testimony, we request relief for section 30 and 31 of the MRL law. Questions?
Yeah, what's the purpose of 6 detectors mounted within a 3-foot span of each other in the basement?
That's a good question. They basically put one for each apartment and one for the basement. That's what they thought they had to do way back when. So that's what they did. They basically said one, in addition to the floors and the units themselves, they said we also need one in the basement per each unit, which would equal 5, plus one in the basement. So that's the reason for that.
Yeah, that's a fire department nightmare trying to figure out which one's gone bad. I hope that you guys are gonna clean this mess up, because I don't understand much. I mean, this is a sign of a.
Yeah, I can speak with the property owner about that. We just took the photograph of that. We thought it'd be an interesting photograph to show. Upon a time of inspection, they all did work. I'm not necessarily sure if they're all required or needed it or not, but probably maybe 2 down there would be sufficient.
Okay. I thought you were maybe just testing us to see if we were actually looking at all the pictures.
Oh, no. We sent them for 2 reasons. Number 1, so you could see what we're dealing with, and number 2, so we can remember, because we do about 50 of these a year.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Badali?
No, thank you.
Mr. Garlock?
Just again on exits and egress, what that looks like.
Yes, so the building has multiple means of egress from within the building and also fire escapes for the upper units.
Okay, so every unit has 2 exits?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, the picture of the smoke detectors, that's the best picture I've ever seen of where less is more, really.
Fortunately, this particular property owner in Schenectady has very well maintained properties, and they don't mind overkilling things, whether they know it or not.
Supposed to take questions?
The fire escapes are well maintained and inspected regularly?
They are. We also do fire escape inspections. We didn't, actually, we did do fire escape inspections on these particular buildings way back when, probably about a little over a year ago. So there's reports filed with the city, but yes, they are well maintained and painted.
Thank you.
All right. Do we need to deliberate, or can we move on? Mr. Badali, you ready to move on with the petition? We have motion. Okay. Can I have a motion on this application?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion in the matter of the petition of Robert Boyda of Union Wendell, New York LLC. Petition number 2024-0485 for a variance to the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code on the application of Robert Boyda of Union Wendell, New York LLC, 5-Page Farm Road, Sherborne, Massachusetts, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument thereon at a duly noticed hearing before the Syracuse Board of Review, also held via video conference call at the following location: U State Office Building, 333 East Washington Street, first floor, main hearing room, Syracuse, New York, 13202, on October 17th, 2024. And upon all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. Nature of grievance and relief sought. Petition pertains to an existing building containing a multiple residence apartment building, a R2 occupancy, 3 stories in height, of type 5B wood frame unprotected construction located at 126 Wendell Avenue, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar, or the lowest story if there be no cellar, shall be fire retarded or be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. Relief is also requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 31, inside cellar stairs. Every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above in an old multiple dwelling shall be enclosed with fire retarded partitions and shall be equipped with a fire retarded self-closing door located as the department may approve. Petitioner requests relief from the requirement that a fire retarded ceiling or sprinkler system be provided in the cellar of the dwelling and allow the 2 existing exit stairs from the basement to which are not enclosed in a rated assembly but have self-closing rated doors. The board makes the following findings. 1, the building that is the subject of this petition is properly classified under Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 4, parentheses 33, as a multiple dwelling. 2, the subject building is approximately 11,444 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1875, and contains 5 dwelling units. 2 units on the first and second floors and 1 unit in the occupied attic. 3, the subject building is required to conform with the provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Residence Law as provided in Section 25, in that it existed on July 1st, 1952, or was converted to a multiple dwelling after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. Number 4, Article 3, Section 30 of the Multiple Residence Law requires in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story if there be no cellar shall be fire retarded or be equipped with a fire sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. 5, the lowest story or cellar ceiling of this multiple family dwelling is not enclosed with fire retardant material and does not contain a sprinkler system. A fire in the cellar could easily spread throughout the building before it is noticed. There is mechanical system piping and electrical wiring along the ceiling of this unoccupied cellar, which would make installing a fire retardant ceiling very difficult. 6, Article 3, Section 31 of the Multiple Residence Law requires that inside cellar stairs, every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above in the old multiple dwelling shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and shall be equipped with a fire retardant self-closing door located as the department may approve. 7, the petitioner has indicated The door into the basement is self-closing and fire rated, but the enclosure that led to the basement is not fire rated. 8, as an alternative to compliance with Article 3, Section 30 and 31 of the Multiple Residence Law, the applicant has stated that they have installed a hardwired interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide detection alarm system interconnected from the basement to each unit individually in all the common areas, hallways, stairwells, and they would provide early warning in the event of a fire-related emergency. 9, the petitioner states in the narrative that illuminated exit signs and emergency lighting is installed throughout the building common areas. 10, the petitioner states that the existing dwelling units have hardwired with battery backup smoke detectors in each bedroom and living room. 11, the petitioner states that the fire extinguishers are mounted on the wall and located throughout the common area. 12, the petitioner states that there is multiple egress exit pathways that exceed the New York State multiple residence law requirements. 13, the petitioner also stated that there are self-closing doors from common areas into each individual dwelling unit and self-closing fire-rated doors to the basement stair. 14, the subject building has been inspected yearly and compliance certificates issued and registered with the city. 15, the code enforcement official for the city of Schenectady was not present during the hearing but has indicated support for the variance. The proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the law's provisions for health, safety, and security. Strict compliance would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the law. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for a variance from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Sections 30 and 31, be and is hereby granted with the following conditions. 1, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code-certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. 2, tenant storage shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement area. And 3, tenant laundry area shall not be allowed in the finished basement area. I would also like to make a motion for negative declaration for short EAF for the Board of Review. 1, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition number 2024-0485 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resource, or statewide significance, important agricultural land, or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization programs. And 2, that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of State the State Environmental Quality Review Act Short Environmental Assessment Form, indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in Part 2 of the form, and determining in Part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse fire impact. So move.
Board, Mr. Badali. Oh, sorry. I have second.
I second.
Swistek seconds. Poll the board, Mr. Badali.
Aye.
Ms. Swistek.
Aye.
Mr. Garlock.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. This decision, and excuse me, 4 ayes, no nays, the petition is granted. This decision is limited to specific building and application before it as contained with the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of the application. This case is concluded. We are on to our next case. Petition number 2024-086. regard to property located at 114 Union Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, New York State. The petition is requesting a variance to MRL 30 ceiling cellar ceilings and MRL 30 cellar stairs. We have an applicant.
Dan Morelli again.
Okay, you can keep it short.
I will.
Okay.
This one's slightly different with some different nuances, so I will keep it short, but include those.
Okay.
Dan Morelli Design and Construction, 5159 Western Turnpike, Altamont, New York, 12009, representing Mr. Robert Boyda, Union Wendell, New York, LLC, seeking relief from sections 30 and 31. Mr. Boyda owns a structure located at 1114 Union Street in the city and county of Schenectady, state of New York, which is classified as an R2 occupancy with type 3B construction and a total gross floor area of 9,080 square feet, including an unfinished, partially finished full basement. The pre-existing multifamily residence is a 3-story structure with a full basement. Currently has 5 residential dwelling units, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second floor, 1 on the third floor, and was constructed circa 1935. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster or drywall ceilings, and the structure currently has hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building. And each dwelling unit currently has 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom, self-closing doors from common areas leading to each dwelling unit, and multiple means of egress. In addition, there are currently fully charged fire extinguishers mounted to the wall in the common areas, as well as hardwired emergency lights and illuminated exit signs at designated locations. The full basement is partially finished with plaster or drywall ceilings, has no sprinkler system, but currently has multiple hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors mounted to the ceiling framing. There is one exterior-only access leading to the basement, which currently has a non-fire rated door and no self-closing device. This door will be swapped out with a fire rated door and a self-closing device. It should be noted that there is laundry in the basement of this structure, multiple washers and dryers. The property owner agrees to hire an independent inspection agency to inspect the detection system on an annual basis and file an on-site report prior to contacting city codes for their required inspections. The applicant is seeking relief from sections 30 and 31 of the MRL based on the following facts. The structure has been inspected recently in years for compliance with the 2020 New York State Building Code by the city code enforcement official for the issuance of rental certificates, and the property owner proposes to perform or maintain the above listed actions to meet the requirements of the MRL. Installing a fire retardant ceiling in the remainder of the partially unfinished basement, or installing a sprinkler system would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden on the property owner and the tenants. And in the area that's unfinished, there's a multitude of plumbing, piping, ductwork, and wiring in the way, making the installation physically impracticable. The alternate measure to achieve the intended objective is the presence of hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors throughout the building, 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom, self-closing doors from common areas into each individual dwelling unit, and a newly installed fire-rated self-closing door leading to the basement, as well as the multiple means of egress, including the recently inspected fire escapes. The applicant is seeking relief from section 30 and 31, and I will field any questions.
So you have a laundry down there?
There is a laundry down there, correct?
Is it, are they under the finished ceiling, or are they under the unfinished ceiling?
It's under, the laundry is under the finished ceiling,
Under the finished ceiling.
correct?
Is there partitions or walls separating it from
There
the
are.
unfinished ceiling?
Correct.
So the laundry space is got 4 walls, a door, and a ceiling,
Correct.
finished ceiling?
Correct.
Okay. Is the door self-closing?
I don't believe there's a door on the opening, now that you ask. You go through the exterior door, down a set of stairs, you make a left through an opening into the laundry area, which has a finished ceiling, or you can continue down the hallway, which is unfinished, and make a right into the boiler room, which has a finished ceiling. So no, there is no door on the laundry room, leading into the laundry room, just into the basement.
Okay. Are they electric?
They're
Washer,
electric.
dryer?
Yes.
No natural gas on
No
the
gas.
dryers?
Correct.
Are they individually vented out? Or
Yes, they are.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. Garlock? Nope. Mr. Badali, do you have any questions? Ms. Swistek?
thank you.
Ms. Swistek, do you have any questions? Okay. Without going into deliberation, was thoughts about the laundry room?
Got a finished ceiling, I prefer it self. Is there a smoke detector in the laundry room?
Yes. Combo unit. Yes.
I would just suggest a condition that it not be swapped out to a gas dryer in the future.
Okay. Okay, and a door.
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody, anything else? All right. I will make the following motion in the matter of this case. The matter petition of Robert Boyda of Union Wendell, New York LLC for variance to the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, petition number 2024-0486. Upon application of Robert Boyda of Union Wendell, New York LLC, 5-page Farm Road, Sherburne, Mass., and upon taking testimony and hearing arguments thereon at a duly noticed hearing before the Syracuse Board of Review, also held via video conference call WebEx at the following location: Hughes State Office Building, 333 East Washington Street, first floor, main hearing room, Syracuse, New York, 13202 on October 17th, 2024. And upon all other matters in this, on all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. This petition pertains to the existing building containing a multiple residence apartment building of R2 occupancy, 3 stories in height, of type 5B wood frame unperfected construction, located at 114 Union Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Laws, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or of the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retardant or equipped with a sprinkler system, unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. Chapter 61B of Consolidated Laws of New York State, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 31, inside cellar stairs, states that every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above in all old multiple dwellings shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and shall be equipped with a fire retardant self-closing door located as the department may approve. Petitioner requests relief from the requirement that the fire retardant ceiling or sprinkler system be provided in the cellar of the dwelling and allow the 2 existing exit stairs from the basement to the which are not enclosed in a rated assembly but have self-closing rated doors. In the finding of facts, 1, the building that is subject to this petition is properly classified under under Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 4, parentheses 3.3 as multiple dwelling. 2, the subject building is approximately 9,080 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1935 and contains 5 dwelling units, 2 dwelling units on the first floor and second floor, and 1 in the occupied attic. 3, the subject building is required to conform to provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Res Law as provided in Section 25, in that it existed on July 1st, 1952, and was converted to a multiple dwelling after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. 4, Article 3, Section 30 of Multiple Residence Law requires in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there is no cellar, shall be for fire retardant or be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has been already plastered to the satisfaction of the department. 5, the lowest story cellar ceiling of this multiple family dwelling is not enclosed with fire retardant materials and does not contain a sprinkler system. A fire in the cellar could easily spread throughout the building before it is noticed. There is mechanical system piping and electrical wiring along the ceiling of this unoccupied cellar, which would make installing fire retardant ceiling very difficult. 6, Article 3, Section 31 of Multiple Residence Law requires that inside the cellar stairs, every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above in all multiple dwellings shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and shall be equipped with a fire retardant self-closing door located as the department may approve. 7, the petitioner has indicated the door into the basement is self-closing and fire rated, but the enclosure that led to the basement is not fire rated. 8, as an alternative to compliance with Article 3, Section 30 and 31 of Multiple Residence Law, the applicant has stated they have installed a hardwired, interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide detection alarm system, interconnected from the basement to each unit individually in all common areas, hallways, stairways, and they would provide early warning in the event of a fire-related emergency. 9, the petitioner states in the narrative that illuminated exit signs and emergency exit lighting is installed throughout the building in common areas. 10, petitioner states that the existing dwelling units has 10-year warranty lithium battery operated smoke detectors in each bedroom. 11, petitioner states the fire extinguishers are mounted on the wall and located throughout the common area. 12, petitioner states there is multiple egress exit pathways that exceed the New York State Multiple Residence Law requirements. 13, petitioner also stated that there are self-closing doors from common areas into each individual dwelling unit and self-closing fire-related doors to the basement stair. 14, the subject building has been inspected yearly and compliance certificates issued and registered with the city of Schenectady. 15, the code enforcement official for the city of Schenectady was not present during the hearing, but has indicated support for the variance. In conclusion of law, the proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the law's provisions for health, safety, and security. Strict compliance would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the law. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for a variance from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Sections 30 and 31, be and is hereby granted with the following conditions. That the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum, and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. 2, tenant storage shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement. 3, tenant laundry area is in an enclosed area but lacks a self-closing door. A self-closing door shall be installed on the tenant laundry area while the laundry is occupied. 4, the laundry equipment used in the basement shall be electric and not fuel gas fired appliances. In addition, I make a motion for negative declaration for a short EAF for the Board of Review. That the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition 2024-0486 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resources of statewide significance, important agricultural land, or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program, and that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of State, A, the State Environmental Quality Review Act short environmental assessment form indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in Part 2 of the form, and determining in Part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. And I so move. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Mr. Garlock seconds. Poll the board. Mr. Badali?
Aye.
Ms. Swistak?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. 4 ayes, no nays. The petition is granted. It should be noted that this decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. Case closed.
Thank you, folks, very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Do I have any other business that we need to attend to? Then this hearing is concluded. We can go off the record.